Okay guys, welcome back to another video. Now this is going to be talking about something a little bit different, but I think it really encapsulates a lot of what I think this channel is all about. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about when I got fired. And so I was working in this this hotel, and it was a sick job. I sort of hit the jackpot with it, so to speak. So this job, basically what you did is you were like a sort of check-in person, like you know how you have those check-in, like in a hotel, like people check you in and stuff. So you did that, but then there was also, like, at the same time, it was also a bar. So and like you had a coffee machine, so you'd be checking people in, making coffees for people, making cocktails. Like they taught us how to make cocktails, you know, all this kind of stuff. You know, it was a bag of laughs, really fun. And then one day they just stopped giving me shifts, basically. And I thought, oh, that's a bit funny. And then I asked them, oh, can I get some shifts for next week? And they were like, on that note, do you want to come in for a review about your work? You know, like how you've been working at this company and stuff. Because I'd been contracted to do a 3-month like thing there. Like, you know how you get employed for 3 months, and then if they're happy with me, they're going to continue after that 3-month period. So I was like, okay, sounds great. And I turned up in for this review, and like I was sat down, and they were like, "So, Alfie, how do you think these 3 months have gone?" And I was like, "Fuck, I'm a goner," and they said they didn't want to hire me anymore, and that I was gonna be out of the company. Like, that was my contract finished. They didn't want me to continue. So it's not being fired exactly, but it's pretty close to it. And like they had a whole team of people, and I was the only one that they chose to get rid of. So I really, like, I felt really shit about it, basically. And looking back on it, I was hardly like the ideal employee. But no, it still like hurt. It still hurt. And the thing that I really thought was that this job was just perfect for me, and that I'd let myself down by getting, you know, like not being good enough at the job. And yeah, I just felt really shit about it. And I look back at it now, sort of a year on, and I think, thank God they fired me. Because actually, it sounds like an awful job. Like, one of my friends, it still works there, tells me a lot about it, and it just sounds awful. Like, a lot of the people there, there's lots of sort of snakery kind of thing. You know, and he's not very happy working there anymore, because it's kind of cold. Like, yes, it's very nice, it's very snuggly, you're doing all this nice stuff, you know, making cocktails for people, whatever, but it doesn't really stretch you. And he said he gets really bored working there, and whenever I ask him, like, my friend's like, oh, how would you find working there? He's like, yeah, you know, it is what it is. So actually, looking back on it, seeing how he's reacted to it, and this isn't me trying to be like smug, like, oh, he got fired, I got fired, and he didn't, and yet he's sadder. This is just me taking the evidence as it appears to me. It's like, yeah, it actually doesn't seem that great, you know. He's not very happy working there anymore. So, you know, is it really such a shame he got fired in the first place? And the other thing I think about this is, hey, working in a nightclub isn't the nicest job ever. But I certainly learnt an awful lot from it, and I had kind of experiences to a much that I wanted to get to a very great degree from doing that kind of work. And I would have never been forced, I would have never been pushed to get a proper bar job in like an actual club, rather than just some stupid hotel, if I hadn't been forced to, if I hadn't literally been pushed out. And this reminds me of an idea in the 4-hour work week, which is that he says, like, getting fired is a good thing, basically, because most people, they don't like their job anyway, and like, but they're too scared to quit, so being fired is like the best thing that could happen to them, because then they don't need the balls to quit, and then they're forced to sort things out. Like, it's very immediate. And this is interesting because I sort of read that and I really thought about it differently now. And like, the thing I think is, if you're watching this because you got fired, like, just really think how how much do you actually enjoy your job in the first place? Like, I'm really focused on that, because I think most people who get fired, it's just like, if they were the one leaving, they don't actually sort of miss the job when they leave, and they're actually better off for it. And I think one way is quite interesting of looking at it is that the company wasn't right for you any more than you weren't right for the company. So maybe you thought that you were not right, like, you were right for the job, but the company, the people running the company, didn't. So, like, and one of you is going to realise that. Either it's the company or it's you. And if it's you, you quit. And if it's the company, you get fired. And just because the company's ahead of the game and fires you instead of you quit, that doesn't mean that, like, you were still, like, somehow right for the company. Like, I don't think one can be true without the other, is what I'm getting at. And I think the other thing is, I think we often want what we can't have, you know. If you get far from somewhere, you think, oh, like, what a shame, you know, I really wish I could go back to working there. But actually, it's just because you've been fired that you suddenly think, like, you want what you can't have. And it's same with women, you know. If you get rejected by a girl, often you want her so much more. Like, it's hard, it's good to, like, a good way to get girls is to play hard to get. I think it's the exact same thing. But ultimately, what it comes down to is you both have to want each other, both the company and you, both the girl and you. You know, like, and it doesn't matter from which side the rejection comes from, whether it's from you deciding to quit your job, or whether it's the company firing you, or whether it's the girl dumping you, or you dumping the girl. Like, it comes from somewhere either way, and whatever. But it could have come from either way, is what I'm getting at. I think it's really worth thinking about that. And like, I look back at the job now, I think, what do I mean that job was perfect for me? You know, like, what was really so great about it? And like, yeah, it had its perks, but I've got just as much fun from other jobs, and like, it's very easy to sort of estimate how fun a job really is, I think. So anyway, I think if you have got fired from your job, or like, it's just whatever it is, I think it's worth remembering. Like, just how much did you really enjoy the job in the first place, you know? Obviously, it's not a nice experience to be fired, but I don't know. Let the dust settle, and then after, for me, I just think that was the best thing that could have happened to me. Like, I'm very grateful that they fired me. So anyway, obviously my experience is different to, like, it was a part-time job. I'm sure it's different for people with a full-time job. So, you know, I'm sure people have like different experiences, but I think a great amount of people sort of will know where I'm coming from. So anyway guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.